Good afternoon, family, and welcome back to Godspeed, where we provide you a reoccurring market overview for the Lexus LC500 and other Lexus models. On tonight's episode, let's put a spotlight on two very attractive and fully loaded 2018 models, as well as another look at a 2021 Atomic Silver Convertible that's just reduced its price. So today we have about 240 options available. As usual, I pulled about 3 to highlight in my intro so that if you are in the market to purchase a vehicle, you absolutely want to ensure that you take a look at these options because, to be honest with you, they're some of the best buys in the LC500 market space currently. So first up, all the way to the left, we've got a 2018 LC500. This one's caviar with the black Alcantara. We've got the carbon fiber top and the seals on the doors, as well as the retractable spoiler. This one's clean two owner, got 47,000 miles, coming in at 64,900. All right, I love this because, guys, if you've been tracking with me on these market reviews, I don't think we've seen this combo, and if we have, it's only been a few, right? So for the folks who are looking for a caviar or a black exterior, and also looking for that black interior and want to make sure they grab the Alcantara. You got the fully loaded carbon top, retractable spoiler, carbon seals. Obviously, you got the 21-inch wheels. I mean, this one's a tremendous opportunity, especially coming in at 64,900, right? As we've been watching over the weeks, we've seen these 2018s kind of tick back up in price, right? You're going to see tonight on the review. I mean, we've got 2018s all the way up to $75,000. So this is $10,000 less, clean two owner, right? No red flags on this guy, and just really a beautiful, darker option. Love this one. So let's go all the way to the right and let's look at almost the sister of this car, just in a different color. Another 2018. This one's the ultra white with the red Alcantara interior. Again, we've got the carbon top and seals, got the retractable spoiler, the 21-inch wheels, obviously. This one also is a clean two owner. It's got a little bit higher miles, 57,554, and coming in just slightly higher at 65,998. Now, one of the reasons I wanted to point out these two options, guys, is because I've been kind of given, the non-glass top a little bit of a, little bit of a bad rap over the last few weeks. And so I definitely wanted to bring forth, I got a little bit more I'm going to confess for once we get into the market review. But guys, I've had some time to sit in these carbon fiber tops. Also had a little time to sit in and spend some extended time in a toasted caramel interior. And I got to tell you, I'm changing my position, right? I think each one of these particular builds has some uniqueness to it that maybe until this past weekend I just didn't appreciate as much as I should. So really loving these options right here. And you know what, that carbon sparkles beautifully in the sun. So I think if you're looking at an option, you want something that's completely maxed out with all the bells and whistles, you got to take a look at these two options. Now when we come back to our center, the 2021 is the most dynamic year, at least in terms of pricing, for the LC500 that we've seen over the past 30 days. And so obviously I've got to make sure you guys stay on top of the trends that's taking place in this segment. And here we are again with this 2021 that we've seen several times on the show. This is L certified. It's a one owner. It's 22,559 miles. On May 1st, it had a price drop of $1,700, right? If this thing survives or stays at the dealership, it's probably going to hit another price drop next week. But this one was last time we reviewed it was about 84,000. Now this thing is 81,996, right? I mean, atomic silver, black interior. You can peel the top off this thing, and it's almost at 80 grand. I mean, that's a story in and of itself, and it's one of the reasons why, I'm keeping a close eye on this one, because I'm in my hopes, I'm praying that, somebody's able to pick this thing up. It'll be the first ever 2021 L certified convertible at 80 grand. I mean, that's going to be a tremendous opportunity. So Family, I've received several messages from viewers and community members alike about asking me about my thoughts on the LC500, right? Pros and cons, and also kind of what are the must-have options. So tonight, as we review the market, I'm going to walk through my thoughts on why Lexus, why the LC500, and what it's been like owning the vehicle from my point of view, okay? So family, we got an amazing episode, fellas. It is Mother's Day weekend, so please make sure you're taking care of your mom. And to any of my mothers watching this evening, happy Mother's Day from Godspeed. Everyone hit that like button, subscribe, and let's go. All right, family, let's get a look at our first May market review and let's see what the trends and opportunities that we can see here, okay? Team, I want to start out by just saying, in the past few weekends, I've had the pleasure of getting some extended time in two of the options that I've always had not so favorable comments on, right? That's the glass top or the carbon fiber tops, as well as the toasted caramel, right? So first off, let me apologize for the criticism on previous episodes of these options, and here's why I'm apologizing. I really want this community to be a place for all preferences around these vehicles and not a place where you're going to have to endorse somebody else's opinion about why they don't prefer what you might prefer. So what I've learned by having an open mind and some extended time in the carbon top option as well as the toasted caramel interior is that there are actually some things that I prefer in these options that I don't have in mind, right? I think I want to end this by saying each and every one of these options creates a unique ride and experience that I think is absolutely specific, to both the build and also the owner of the vehicle. And I just want to say I apologize again, for kind of, putting a bad light or the scarlet letter, if you will, on those options. And if you've had to endure that for the last few weeks, like I said, please do forgive me on those. But I think I've definitely had a change of heart, and I've completely become a believer in both of those options. Now, tonight, I do want to talk about this vehicle. I talked about a little bit in the actual intro, right? But I mean, looking at this, caviar, I mean, I won't lie, this color combo is just absolutely gorgeous. It's got the black Alcantara interior in there. Here we see the carbon fiber top, in its glory sitting up there. Obviously, this one has the carbon fiber seals as well, the retractable spoiler. Just a beautiful option because in full honesty, right, we haven't seen a lot of these out there. I'm not going to go through the specs. I did want to show the pictures on that because I kind of talked about the specs in the intro. Likewise, I'm going to, show the pictures on this white one a little bit too, right? Because we absolutely went through the specs on this one as well. But this one, actually, I didn't call it out, but this one's got the tinted window. Well, looks like tint on the side, but not on the back. I don't know what that was about, but definitely love this color option. And again, you've got, top spec here, right? This is absolutely the carbon fiber retractable spoiler. There's that carbon scuff plates right there. You can see it on the bottom here. Alcantara interior, really solid option there. Again, won't spend too much time on that, but I definitely wanted to show a little bit more of the pictures. So family, one of the things I want to do is give a quick update on the 2018 pricing, right? So if you're in the market, for 2018 and you're looking for best prices rather, we have definitely seen those increase over the last 30 days. I mean, our price ranges now are everywhere, as you've seen while I've been talking here, from $57,000 all the way up to $75,000, okay? And so we've definitely seen these prices creep up. And I would say that the average or the median price for a well-equipped, no damage, low owners, relatively low miles, you're going to see these in the high, 60s. One thing I want to talk about too is mileage, because I think this is becoming more and more of a topic that we have to understand, because it looks like a lot more of the options are, in that 30, 50, and even some 70,000 mile options on the 2018s. So I did a little research, and right now the national average, and I know, not everybody's using this car as a daily driver, but the national average is a little over 14,000 miles a year that most people drive their vehicles. And so these vehicles been on the road for 5 to 6 years. I think it's safe to say, family, if we're looking at a vehicle that's got 50 to under or 50,000 miles, I think we have to consider that to be, average for, or I should say 50,000 miles should be average. Anything under 50,000 miles is, going to be a little under average, and anything over, obviously not 100,000, but anything over is going to be, right in that average to maybe a little higher miles. So when we see these options out here, I wanted to call that out because that's going to help you understand, if this, when I'm looking at a $70,000 certified pre-owned with 30,000 miles, how should I feel about that, right? And I think you should absolutely know that that is very much under the average, at least for most vehicles. And I would say even for the Lexus LC500, I would say it's probably on average. Most of these vehicles have about 30,000 miles out here, but some really tremendous opportunities, okay? And for the 2020s, I mean, we've been looking at this one here, but I've got to call this one out, right? This is absolutely the lowest price 2020. The price has continued to drop week over week, or I should say month over month, right? This is that Nightfall Mica, right? We're at $69,995. This individual has actually did, a very popular blackout option on this vehicle where I can't tell quite honestly if the grille has been painted. Because typically what people will do is they'll either do a wrap on this entire grill surround, and that graphite color that's already on the grill just appears darker when you don't have the shiny material around it. So the blackout wheels have absolutely been done, right? This one's got the Alcantara interior. I think this one actually has a glass top. This one actually has been blacked out on the back too. So now this right here, we know this is not, actually that diffuser might be a wrap, but the actual exhaust plates here and that what was traditionally chrome right here, that absolutely has to be powder coated, right? At least in my experience, I haven't seen a shop that actually wraps those because it gets hot, number one. And so a wrap is going to probably dissolve or not hold up good. So they actually have to take this off and powder coat it. So, with the exception of the actual emblem and the LC500 markers on the car and tinted windows, this car absolutely has received the black package. It's got the Pirelli sitting on it, which is nice. Very good vehicle. Again, I'm not in New Jersey. If I were, I would absolutely stop by J&S Auto Haus Group and just get a closer look at this thing for you guys, because kind of curious as to why such a great opportunity is such a beautiful looking vehicle, right? These Nightfall Micas aren't everywhere. Just curious as to why they're still on the market, or why this particular vehicle is still on the market. So would be interesting to see that. It is a 2-owner. It doesn't have any accidents being reported on it. It's dropped over $5,000 in 78 days that it's been at the dealer. So just wanted to bring that back to you. Give you guys a quick highlight on the 18s, obviously, a quick highlight on the 20s. And then, a lot of this conversation will also be into the 2021s. Tonight too, family, as I talked about in the intro, right, I did want to share some thoughts that I have on the LC500 because, I've gotten a lot of messages directly that, really want to know what my feeling and what my takes and what my point of view is on this particular vehicle. So tonight, obviously YouTube, including the web, is 100% flooded with reviews and POVs and videos. So, I'm going to try not to spend, an absurd amount of time on this, but I just want to give you guys my point of view on this, right? So, let's talk about first why Lexus, right? For the luxury and the reliability, enough said, right? I mean, I've owned Lexus models for over 20 years. Right. And I obviously I pray over all my vehicles, but I have not had a single issue with any of my Lexuses. When you think about maintenance, honestly, timing belt, water pump, brakes, oil change, tune up, and you're good to go for 300,000 miles. Right. I've actually had, my ES300 Coach Edition. I had it at what, 270,000 miles. My GS300 I had at 280,000 miles. My current GS300 2002 model is sitting at 270,000 miles, and I'm hoping to see that hit 300K. You know, the RX 300 that we had, we ended up selling it because my wife wanted a GX 470, but it had about, 200,000 miles. The GX 470 had about 180,000 miles, and we sold that to a family member. It's still going strong. So, I mean, these cars, don't get me wrong. I mean, like anything in life, if you want it to act good, you gotta take care of it, right? And I personally baby mine a little bit. But listen, these vehicles have the ability to last a lifetime, right? And that's why, you know, I choose Lexus over a lot of other makes and models because, at 270,000 miles, 21 years old, my ES300, everything still works on it. It's so quiet that literally I think it's an EV sometimes, right? Because I can't hear the engine. It just coasts down the street. I could probably put some new shocks and struts on it, but with the exception of that, I mean, the vehicle is just pristine. And I tell you what, I love the paint jobs on these vehicles. I've had Hondas and Acuras, and actually, they back in the day when I was owning them, they did pretty good with paint jobs too. But, we all familiar with vehicles that are 10 years old, and you've got already, some paint issues on the hood, paint issues on the top of the car, where you get a lot of contact with the elements and stuff like that. But my white car, people, my ES300, it's 21 years old. People will sit there all the time and be like, oh my gosh, I thought it was new. Now they're obviously, trying to flatter me a little bit, but the paint has held up tremendous, right? And that's the point I'm trying to make. All right, let's pause here for just a second and take a look at this one. I mean, if we've got to pay, above $70,000 for a vehicle, or the LC500, I tell you what, this one excites me, especially because you guys seen what I've done with my build, so I know, the patience and the frustration and the purchasing and the waiting and all that it takes to do a build. Looking at this car and saying, oh wow, it's already got the carbon fiber lip on it, right? We've got aftermarket wheels. They done a blackout package to this car as well. We've got the carbon fiber side, the carbon fiber diffuser, carbon fiber spoiler. And I'm not going to say exactly who this is, but it looks kind of like Carbon Addict. So that might be that. Looks like we got exhaust. I can't tell if that is truly an aftermarket exhaust or if it's just the tips with the carbon fiber tips on it as well. But we got aftermarket wheels. We've got tint. I can see that might be carbon fiber katana blades on top. Either way, guys, and I think that's carbon fiber. Yeah, carbon fiber over that plastic piece on top of the rear tail lights there. Either way, this is a really good looking option, right? I mean, I think it's done tastefully enough, not to mention 7,000 miles. Wow. On an 18. It's in Miami. It looks like a car that would be in Miami, right? Again, tastefully done, but it definitely, what I'm saying, whoever built this car definitely lended more towards the exotic-ish, features of the LC500, and I think they nailed it. I mean, if I saw this car, I would definitely stop and take a closer look. So that's a really amazing option right there to look at if you're looking for one that's custom and you don't feel like doing the work on it. Take advantage of a lot of the headache that's been taken care of you from the previous owner, right? Okay, next thing up, why the Lexus LC500? So growing up, I've always dreamed of owning something exotic, right? Something ultra rare, something exclusive, right? Something that looks like the cars that I used to drive in my early, Need for Speed days, or pole position, or, for you guys who are in gals who are, maybe 40 plus, right? Rad Racer, on those Nintendo 8-bit days, right? Where, the graphics weren't great. So, the only thing that was absolutely clear about those cars we were racing was that they had wide back ends, right? And the tires were wide. And so, that's what this Lexus LC500 does for me, right? I think the difference is that as I began to get older, reliability played a much greater role in my purchase. And so the LC500 to me is an amazing machine that can be a luxury cruiser, obviously, and stately vehicle, but it also can be more of an aggressive looking vehicle. And that's, and here's my opinion, I think this vehicle is absolutely exotic-ish, right? While still being a reliable vehicle for those of us who don't want to spend time dealing with manufacturer issues every time we get in the vehicle, right? And so for me, that's why I did this. Now, I know some of us are going to lean towards that luxury cruiser. And guess what? If you're not into the car being low, if you're not into the car being super aggressive in performance and handling, although you're going to get a certain level of all of that with either, tier or package that you purchase on these vehicles, I think this vehicle's perfect for you, right? It's definitely an eye turner. I love, what I'm saying, the aesthetics on the vehicle. It's very exclusive in the sense that you just don't see a lot of these on the road today. And so, having a vehicle like this right here, checks all those boxes, right? But also on the other spectrum, if you want something that lends itself a little bit more towards that exotic-ish look, let me tell you, couple aftermarket pieces, drop the suspension. If you desire, change the wheels out, and you absolutely come out with a product to where people are saying, what in the world are you driving? Right? I mean, I get that all the time. They're not sure what it is. And, I think, any owner of the LC500 is always overly flattered when somebody thinks it's a LFA. But, LFA or not, this LC500 holds its weight on its own, right? It just really is a beautiful vehicle. And I mean, that wide back, let me tell you something, again, these pictures just don't do it justice. When you're standing in front of this car, one of the things I love to do is when I'm driving the car, I'll look in my rearview mirror. And one of the things to me that makes this car exotic-ish is, guys, all I see in my rearview mirror is hips. I mean, and if you think about the Porsches, the Ferraris, you think about Lamborghinis, right? The component that makes those cars exotics, you have to at least admit that wide flared out back. And so this vehicle absolutely gives you that vibe. And again, it's not as easy to see in photos. I will say this, guys, while I'm going through these photos, this wrap that's on this vehicle is absolutely impeccable. Love this. But yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that, I truly love about the LC500 is that, listen, you're going to see versions on the street where it may be, what I'm saying, if you're a more conservative owner, you could just buy this car and keep it exactly how it is stock. And you're going to get so many amazing features from this thing, including reliability, that you're probably not going to get for a lot of other stuff on the market, right? And I'm not going to bash any other manufacturers out there, but you guys know the reality is that it's not hard to find a great looking vehicle, although I would argue that this Lexus LC500 stands in a group of its own, but it's not hard to find an exotic or an amazing looking vehicle. The problem is trying to find that in something that's not going to have you at the bank making withdrawals every weekend just to keep it on the road. Okay. All right, guys, let's talk about the 21s real quick, right? Let's make sure we got a quick update on those. So 2021s, same story as the last time we got in front of each other. The prices are getting lower and lower and lower. I mean, here's our 2021 hard top option, white, 41,000 miles. These miles are a little high, I won't lie, especially for a 21, but it's certified, it's pre-owned, and it's still on the lowest tier. I was talking while we went into the lowest price 2021 on the market. Was hoping this one would drop a little bit, but that's been the same price for the last 2 weeks. If you are interested in that vehicle, I think it's time for a reduction. So I would definitely keep an eye out on that, right? And if you like a vehicle out here on Car Gurus, then make sure you put your little love it sign up there, because then you get notified whenever the price drops on it, and that'll help give you a little edge if you got your eye on it. We talked about this one really quick in the intro. I'm not going to talk too much on it, with the exception that the price dropped on it. It is the lowest price convertible on the market right now that doesn't have any red flags. We'll say it like that. Okay. Why we have a 2018 all the way up here at $82,000, I have no idea, but there it is. And right next to it is a 21 hardtop, almost the same color combo with just about 6,000 miles for, $1,000 extra. So please make sure that before you pull the trigger on a $82,000 18 model, you absolutely take a look at what 21s have to offer. Okay. Here's another 2020, but again, higher, right? Which makes me really look at that Nightfall Mica one that we talked about earlier, because it's like $13,000 cheaper and it's got about 30,000 miles extra. But I mean, here's another 2020. The 2020s are up in that price point, right? Rightfully so. So I think it's either a great option or there's something on that vehicle that, that maybe is not as obvious to us that a mechanic would be able to call out, right? Okay, guys, real quick, let's talk about some available options, because, I've been asked this question, and honestly, as much as I'm familiar with these options, I did have to go back and do a little research, and I said, let me just do a quick high-level overview of kind of what you can expect, because the beautiful thing about this LC500 is, number one, there's no bad configuration for this vehicle. Number two, this isn't like, a la carte build, right? You've got a couple different packages, but you're going to get the majority of these, are going to have all the bells and whistles, all the goodies in it. There are a few things that stick out from the different packages, and that's what I kind of want to, bring to our attention here tonight, right? So number one, you got the touring package, right? And the touring package is, perfect timing, right? So if I pull this vehicle up right here, this is probably going to be our touring package. When you see one, that's got these 20-inch wheel options equipped on the vehicle, you're probably looking at a touring package. So you got the iconic styling, right? You're going to have the semi-aniline leather on the interior. All right, you got more than likely an Alcantara headline. You got the Mark Levinson reference stereo, and you got some safety gear in there. Okay, again, guys, there's more features that this car comes with, but I'm just trying to cover the high level stuff, right? So safety features, you got your intuitive parking, blind spot monitoring, rear traffic alert, all that good stuff. Okay, all right. The other packages that we're looking at, which is probably more in line with, let's click on, minus the convertible here, right? But, the next package is the sports package. Okay, so the sports package offers kind of some advanced track developed features. So you get your Alcantara sport seats instead of the semi-aniline. You get these lightweight 21-inch wheels that are actually forged wheels. So, some people think they're chrome and black, but they're not. They're actually forged wheels. And once you own them, immediately you're going to have to do some polishing to keep them shiny as they are. And then you also get that Torsen limited slip differential, right? So when you see the 21-inch wheel option, for the most part, you're probably looking at a sports package, right? And so you can anticipate having all those same safety feature goodies, in the Mark Levinson stuff that you saw in the touring package, but you're going to get the Alcantara seats, you're going to get the 21-inch wheels, you're going to get the Torsen limited slip differential, okay? Now, when we think about the other package, which, we actually talked about, if I can't find one here, we talked about this one in those two 2018 models that had the carbon fiber top. That's the performance package, okay? And on the performance package, you get everything that I talked about in the sports package and the touring package, but this is really catered to like the most demanding driving enthusiast, right? So this package adds, like I said, to the sports package, it adds an active rear wing. You get rear steering, you get variable rear ratio steering, and you get the carbon fiber scuff plates. So now, one thing I forgot to call out on the sport package is on the sport package, you can get either a glass top or a carbon fiber top. So just because you see a carbon fiber top does not mean you have a performance package, right? I think the real two things to call out that are obvious and visual for a performance package, if you see the active rear wing, if you see the carbon fiber scuff plates, you absolutely know you have a performance package, okay? So that's a little bit about those packages: touring package, sport package, performance package. All right. And I think that, there's obviously some little features, heads up display and things of that nature. There's heated seats or the climate package and whatnot. And, you may find a car here or there that doesn't have a climate package or doesn't have heads up display. So absolutely look for, some of those things. And I really do love both of those, by the way. I love Interestingly enough, one thing I didn't even know this vehicle had, and the first time I owned it, was the air conditioned seats. So I knew it had heating seats, but I didn't know it had air conditioned seats, and those are really cool. Tried those out with my wife once we picked up this new one, and it's pretty much just a fan in the back of you, but it goes all the way from your your bottom all the way up to the back of your neck. Love that option, especially on hot summer days. So let's talk about the thing that people ding the Lexus LC500 on the most, and that's this Lexus infotainment system. So, personally, I'm going to tell you right now that I haven't seen a good native infotainment system in any manufacturer. Now, I know some people are, I've heard people talk about the Audi and the BMW systems are at least notable, but I haven't seen anything that I'm like, you know what, I would use the native over Apple CarPlay. Now, the real you know, Bentley or the real mark setter in the infotainment system is Apple CarPlay. So here's what I'm going to say. If you've got a 19 and above, you don't even have to ask yourself this question, right? If you got an Apple phone, plug it in, and then guess what? You just say, hey Siri, and all of your issues or concerns are going to dissolve away, okay? Same thing for Android, right? If you're an Android user, anything that's 2019 and up, you're going to have the Android on there, and this thing even has Alexa. So if you prefer Alexa, guess what, you can use her to kind of help you navigate through the infotainment center. And the visuals that either of these plug and play infotainment add-ons add is way over what you're going to get from, again, not just the Lexus infotainment center, but any infotainment center. Okay, so absolutely take a look at that as an option, and please don't let the infotainment clickbait that is all over the internet steer you away from such a beautiful experience that this LC500 has. All right. Okay. All right. So, family, I apologize. We got a little bit long-winded on tonight's episode, but, I really wanted to kind of talk through some of these, options and some of these discussions and questions that I'm getting asked. So I really hope that, our topics tonight actually help someone out. If I left anything out, like I mentioned earlier, YouTube is flooded with reviews on these LC500s, but I just want to share my point of view and kind of, catch it from, that 5,000 foot view. All right. Team, I appreciate everybody as usual. Thank you guys so much. The community is growing way quicker than I thought. My son is ecstatic because he's kind of my YouTube manager, right? He's keeping me. This is my first social media experience ever. 46 years old and I've never been on social media. And honestly, the reason I'm doing this is heavily inspired by him. So I appreciate you, son. And he's grateful for the fact that we're over 200 members in the community. I can't thank you guys enough for showing the love. Everyone have a tremendous weekend. Love you all. Happy Mother's Day and Godspeed.